Big football weekend, Parks Casino and Sportsbook, your game day destination, Saturdays and Sundays, state-of-the-art sportsbook at Parks Casino. You get to watch from these big reclining leather chairs, VIP areas, delicious food and drink. You can place your bets on all the games right there. Sportsbook, I mean, it's fun. Great way to spend a Saturday or Sunday afternoon or evening. Plus, the Excite Center at Parks Casino has world-class entertainment. I've been referencing Dana Carvey on October 1st, comedian Ron White on October 22nd, the comedy of Christina P. on November 19. Jay Leno's coming up, and all the biggest names in comedy at Parks. Click parkscasino.com for all the details and tickets. Parks Casino and Sportsbook, my casino and sportsbook of choice in my native Bucks County. Street Road exit off I-95, the Pennsylvania Turnpike. You got to be 21 or older. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Time now for the headlines from Smerconish.com, the newsletter. Yesterday, I said we were conducting a lab experiment. I knew the passion that exists on this Ron DeSantis border migrant Martha's Vineyard issue. We ultimately had nearly 15,000 votes cast, 14,787, on the question, is Ron DeSantis's shipping of migrants to Martha's Vineyard an effective means of calling attention to porous borders? So TC took a snapshot at 119
votes at 6:43 a.m.
That feels late for us to have posted yesterday. Were we late, or is that about right?
It depends. Sometimes we know ahead of time, and I can literally post at 4:30 a.m. It depends. It just depends where we are. I think usually it's closer to 6-ish, so maybe it's a little late.
So the question that we had was whether the first 100 in the door,
right, were indicative,
representative
right,
of the ultimate, 15,000.
Exactly.
And they kind of were.
Yeah, close.
Right?
Close.
I mean, the end result was when 14,787 voted, 63% and change said no. No, what DeSantis is doing is not effective. The first 119,
69%, 69.17% said no.
And you think I moved that needle a little bit?
I think so, maybe. I think in talking about it, no matter what, you're going to drive people in a different way. People are going to want to go and see what number they are, because when you vote, obviously, you get to see what number vote you are. So whoever was 114 or 119, that's where I cut it yesterday. You know who you are. It's interesting. There's
an NBC link from a Boston television affiliate at Smerconish.com today that explains the status of Massachusetts and Martha's Vineyard in terms of being sanctuary state and or city. Right. It's complicated. When sending 2 planes of undocumented immigrants to Martha's Vineyard on Wednesday, the administration of Governor Ron DeSantis referred to Massachusetts as a sanctuary state along with New York and California. While there are several policies in place that protect them, the state does not have a sanctuary law in place, but Boston is one of several communities that identifies as a sanctuary city. So why doesn't he ship them to Boston? Because that doesn't have the same cachet as, the hometown of Larry David and Barack Obama, right, and Alan Dershowitz.
Get off the plane at the little Martha's Vineyard airport is a real push.
Correct. Yeah. So here's today's poll question. Do sanctuary states and cities have a heightened obligation to welcome and care for migrants? Because that was part of what DeSantis said yesterday in his public remarks. Hey, we're not a sanctuary state. We don't have sanctuary cities, but you folks do, who are 2,000 miles away. So if you're going to walk the walk, you got to talk the talk. Do sanctuary states and cities have some heightened obligation to welcome and care for migrants? And, what does it mean to be a sanctuary city? Or more accurately, I understand the logic of it. I understand the logic of why areas it gets so besmirched. But what they're essentially saying is, if you're here illegally, we don't want you to be afraid to call the police when you're a victim of crime, or whether you need, an ambulance. We don't want you to die in the street from something that you could have been saved because you didn't want to call the ambulance because you thought you'd be deported. And the logic is, if there's a murderer out there, but you don't want to call the phone on the police on the murderer is going to go kill somebody else. Others say, wait a minute, when the word gets out that you're a sanctuary city or state, you're a magnet. And now everybody's going to want to come to your area because they think they'll be treated well. So I'm asking today, do sanctuary states and cities have some heightened obligation? Easy to be a sanctuary city or state when you're far from Texas or Arizona. 114 people voted, TC, within the first 2 minutes, and you took a snapshot of that.
I did, indeed.
What was it?
And it's very, very close. It's like 52-48.
52-48, so much closer than yesterday.
At the beginning.
Right.
Now it's pulling away as of this time.
Well, we'll see. I'm not going to do this every day, but I am curious to see whether there's something special about the first people in, or are they representative?
We'll report back on Monday.
Okay, there you go. My alma mater.
In the news.
In a big way.
Big way.
Central Bucks High School West, where I graduated back in 1980.
Or as I like to say, 100 years ago.
So the NPR affiliate in Philadelphia is WHYY, right?
Yep.
Here's the story. Central Bucks West tells teachers, we just talked about this, speaking of DeSantis.
Just talked about that.
Because this is an issue that played itself out in Florida.
Right.
Central Bucks West tells teachers not to use students' preferred names and pronouns without parental approval. Administrators at CB West have introduced a new gender identification procedure that many teachers say is discriminatory against LGBTQ students. Teachers say they were told to not use a student's preferred name or pronoun if it does not match with the information in the school's database. They say they were told to inform guidance counselors about any student who requests a different name or pronoun. Guidance counselors would then arrange a conversation with the student's parents or guardians so they could approve their student's name and or pronoun change. You know that my father was a guidance counselor at Central Bucks West.
Right.
So I'm just imagining like a teacher, Walt, we have an issue here because so-and-so wishes to be identified differently from the way they're registered.
Right.
Walt, would you please call their parents and bring them in?
Right.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a, I mean, I think for some generations that's hard to hear. It's hard to understand. For other generations, like I'm thinking of Emma and her, it's just completely normal. So it's a really tough one. And I think I'm looking at it in the lens of a family, my own, that would be supportive and understanding and loving. But that's not all the families out there. So what do you do when there's a situation whereby the student doesn't feel safe? And yeah, they are children sometimes. I'm not denying that, but doesn't feel safe at home. What do you do? As a parent, I would want to know, but I also know how I would react. That's the tricky part.
So Becky Cardy Herring has taught English at CB West for 16 years, says, a lot of us are distraught. I physically felt sick in the meeting, listening to the administrator basically argue we were going to protect ourselves by outing children.
Yeah.
It's heart-wrenching. It's just cruel. Teacher said administrators told them they have to follow parents' or guardians' wishes if they differ from a student's. What the children wanted was completely irrelevant, said David Klein, who's been teaching social studies at Central Bucks West for 26 years. Klein said he's not going to follow the new procedure. Quote, there's no way I'm hurting a kid. Hell no. I cannot be complicit in harming children. And I said this in the meeting. This is the most at-risk, marginalized group of students. They need our support more than anyone else. No, kid says, call me Tony. I'm calling them Tony.
I mean, of course, ideally, you want everyone involved. You want the school on the same page as the parents. You want the parents on the same page as the kids. You want the kids on the same page. Everybody's on the same page. But that's not the real world. So what do you do in not real world situations?
This is not
in real world situations.
This is not a reason to duck the issue. Okay. I would want my highest priority would be to comfort the kids. And it's already a stressful time. I remember how stressful it was for me to walk in those hallways without these issues.
And you were cisgender.
The last thing I want is to make it more difficult for high schoolers.
Right.
So I'm going to accommodate the kids. That's the way I would handle it. And this is not a reason to dodge it, but I can't help but wonder, how often does it come up?
Well, it's a great question.
I don't know. How many are in the category of wanting to be identified differently than the way in which they're registered?
I don't know the answer to that.
But it's my high school.
I know.
It's my high school. It's not a Florida high school. Now it's my high school.
Well, the thumbnail of the YouTube video today is a picture of
me.
you outside Central Bucks West.
Who took that picture?
I took that picture.
You did indeed.
Because we did old school and went to all of your schools in Doylestown, PA.
Fun.
And talked about them on TC After Dark.
It was a fun episode.
It was amazing.
What episode number was that?
Ages ago.
Yeah, nobody remembers because it's been so long since I've been invited
36?
back.
Wait. Do you want to come back to TC After Dark?
No.
Because you're about to get an invitation. You know that, right?
3,000 miles away in Los Angeles at a different high school. 2 high school boys arrested Thursday, one on suspicion of manslaughter for allegedly selling what is believed to be a fentanyl-laced pill that led to the overdose death of a student at the Helen Bernstein High School. The student was found in a bathroom at the Hollywood school this week. Police did not identify the boys, their ages 15 and 16, because they are juveniles. Both are students at Apex Academy, an independent charter school on the Bernstein campus. We've talked about this scenario too. You know, they presumably they didn't know they were giving something that was fentanyl-laced. So what do? And it also gets into a whole issue of you don't want kids to see a situation and be hesitant to call the police because maybe they played a role and were complicit in it. In Dallas, drug-related, headline TC, doctor jailed in tainted IV case has troubled history, owe the IRS $4 million.
Yeah, no, this guy's just a bad guy. I'm just putting it out there. Allegedly, reportedly. I don't even think I have to say that, but wow.
What went on?
Evidently, he mishandled IV. He's an anesthesiologist.
Okay.
So he's the person that puts people under.
Speaking of fentanyl.
Right, exactly. So evidently he mishandled the IV bags. He stored them at the wrong temperature. There was the wrong drugs in them. He went through a process by which another doctor had to monitor him, and then he had to go through 8 hours, which seems kind of small, 8 hours of remedial work to try to get himself back up. I don't know what was going on in his personal life, but his professional life was a complete shambles, and he should not be working with patients, obviously.
The story posted at Smerconish.com from a Dallas affiliate. Money news. We may as well round out the week with some auction information, because I'm fascinated by this, as I think you can tell. Okay, so remember, I interviewed this week Jennifer Gwynn.
Gwynn, my new best friend.
Elon Musk's pen girlfriend,
right.
mid-90s. She was selling photographs, old school photographs of the two of them together, some of them on the Penn campus, and a 14-carat gold necklace he had given to her as a gift, and a birthday card that he had signed. All these items were auctioned. The gold necklace was the high money winner, $40,806.
That's crazy.
Okay, so a 14-carat gold necklace, probably
like a teenage gift.
Yeah, like with a with a value of $500.
Even?
Okay, but it had a connection to Musk's father and a mine in South Africa. There's more to the story.
There was a provenance.
Yeah, there was more to the story. Okay, but a birthday card, love you boo boo, $13,314. Okay. Then there was the Keith Haring drawing from his childhood home in Kutztown, Pennsylvania, 3x5, cut out of the wall, went to auction, $143,750.
Wow.
Okay, so an Elon Musk signed birthday card from college, $13,000. Keith Haring sketched image in his childhood bedroom, $143,000. Here we go. Michael Jordan's Last Dance jersey, meaning the jersey he won Game 1 of the 1998 NBA Finals, sold for $10.1 million. Sotheby's announced yesterday, making it the most expensive game-worn sports jersey ever sold and the most expensive Jordan item ever sold at auction.
So whose wall is that hanging on today?
I don't know, but here's what I would want to know.
Tell me.
First of all, I loved Last Dance. That whole
you watched that whole thing.
Chicago,
you kept talking about it.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I don't remember how many games were played in the 98 finals. Okay, but it was more than one game.
Okay.
I would want to know what's the universe of Jordan worn Last Dance 98 finals jerseys. I would presume
wash and wear?
And
they wash them and wear them?
Where are they?
I don't know.
And
It's a
where
great
are
question.
they? I mean, what? I mean,
But
so
someone. I mean,
where's game two?
That had to be part of the write-up of that sale, right?
Just asking. I don't know.
You have to know how many there are out there.
Who has game 2 jersey? Who has game 3 jersey?
Wow.
And is there I don't know how many. I should have looked it up.
I wonder if you hang it in clear glass so you can see both sides and have it turn maybe. Like in a stand?
if you have that, what do you do with it? I think you have to. I know, like
Wear
if
it
I
for
go
Halloween?
to, I know if I go to Dick's Sporting Goods, they have like these really they have mannequins that are ripped. And they put these T-shirts on them. I'm a sucker for this. And you look at the T-shirt.
Look at those V-shaped abs.
Yeah, that's how I'll buy that T-shirt. And then I put the T-shirt over my belly.
It doesn't quite look like that.
No.
Yes, it does. You hold your head high, Michael. You're fine.
So, wait, I have another auction. Okay, so I've given you Musk, Keith Haring, Michael Jordan.
This is quite a carpool.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Bonhams is now auctioning 76. It's so interesting, TC, because I'm interviewing Nina Totenberg from NPR tomorrow on CNN, and that'll be like a 5-minute interview. Then in a week she'll be here, and I'll do
She's
the
fabulous,
real interview,
of course.
So she was given the book that she's written is about her relationship with Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yes.
For 50 years they were friends, and she explains in the book that Ruth Bader Ginsburg, I guess it was her daughter Jane, gave to her one of the necklaces.
Like one of the collars?
One of the collars.
Because that's what they call them.
Right.
Whoa.
So one of those is being auctioned. The proceeds, I should mention, benefit SOS Children's Villages, the world's largest organization dedicated to caring for children without parental care.
Wow.
Or who are at risk of losing it. So here is a Ruth Bader Ginsburg beaded judicial collar.
What is that going to go for?
In 2009, well, the current bid looks like it's $55,000. In 2009, Ruth Bader Ginsburg explained to the Washington Post the sartorial challenges of being one of the first women on the Supreme Court. She was number 2, of course. The standard robe is made for a man because it has a place for the shirt to show and the tie. Justice O'Connor and I thought it would be appropriate if we included as part of our robe something typical of a woman. So that's how these came into fashion, and she began to wear them. I can only imagine what a Ruth Bader, okay, put money aside.
Okay.
I'm offering you an Elon Musk birthday card.
Okay.
A Keith Haring sketch.
Okay.
Michael Jordan jersey, or Ruth Bader Ginsburg necklace,
when you
collar.
say putting money aside, how can you? It's really skewed. You'd have to.
I know
go
the
for
10
Michael
mil,
Jordan.
but
Come on.
Okay. How about this?
Legit.
Marie Kondo. Which would bring you joy?
The Keith Haring.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm shocked.
You are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my choice. But why would that be your choice?
Because I love Keith Haring stuff. I just think that pop of color. I just think it's.
Oh, I did
so
not.
iconic.
I didn't even know you were.
I'm not, but I like it.
You like it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Because I mean, think about think about how neutral I am and everything. I think that would be a really cool pop of color.
All right, hold on.
What do you got now?
I'm offering you Keith Haring.
Here we go.
Elon Musk.
Okay.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Michael Jordan.
What are you adding to the mix?
Or behind the door where Carol Merrill is standing.
Ooh.
How about a condo in New York City, penthouse?
I know where you're going with
Central Park Tower, 1,550 feet in the air, $250 million asking price, the country's most expensive property for sale. By the way, outpacing Michael Eisner's California estate, which has been listed for $225 million.
I have to say that I did go to Smerconish.com and check out the pictures of that
the
aforementioned penthouse. Yeah. Oh my, those views are really something. Wow. It is 17,000 square feet. We're not talking about like a little New York apartment here. This is mind-blowing. It is amazing.
What would it cost to furnish?
Michael, you know the saying, if you have to ask,
right,
you can't afford it.
True. $250 million.
It's incredible. And
how could anything be worth that money?
And they say, well, I mean, the point is that people are buying. It says actually in the article, it says people are buying Michael Jordan shirts for 10 million and NFTs
Right.
and all these things for so much money. And when you think about a real live, a real apartment, maybe it is worth it. I don't know.
Where do you put a Michael Jordan $10 million jersey? There.
Bingo.
Ladies and gentlemen, hope you'll see me on CNN tomorrow, 7:30 YouTube Live, 9 a.m. Philly time. Join me, please, on CNN, TC After Dark.
Woohoo!
TC After Dark. And can I also plug my own podcast?
Please. Oh,
because
good today.
we've released some really good stuff, both for my daily podcast and for my book club, which comes out 3 times a week. But go listen to TC first.
No,
TC After
There's
Dark.
a lot.
TC After Dark, but if you're on a long walk and she doesn't give you enough, then go to my book club or my daily podcast. And most importantly, vote on today's poll question. Is Ron DeSantis' shipping of migrants to Martha's Vineyard an effective means of calling attention to porous borders? That we did yesterday. Today, do sanctuary states and cities have a heightened obligation to welcome and care for migrants? Go vote. See you next week.